Salem's Lot. So I'm going to be reviewing all the Salem's Lot movies, including this original film, the Lob Row remake, and Return to Salem's Lot. So I'm going to be reviewing all of these in preparation for the new Salem's Lot dropping on Max in October 3rd, I think was the release date. So every week you'll get a new Salem's Lot review until that one comes out. I thought this movie was okay. It had some really great, terrific elements. But I gotta say, this feels like the Tim Curry Pennywise It miniseries. Where I imagine if you grew up in the 80s or whatever, in the 70s, and you saw this on TV, you probably think this is a very scary movie that is just great and you have fond memories of it, right? Me watching it now, I can acknowledge its pros, but I definitely could see a reboot coming in, just like that reboot to the first It movie, and doing a much better job than that original film ever did. And that's the way I feel about this movie. It is 3 hours long when it doesn't need to be. I get what they're going for. It's a mini series. They're trying to build up that atmosphere and tone and vibe to the town before, because it is framed as a mystery throughout most of it. You got this guy who returns to his hometown, sees some weird stuff going on, and then you learn as the movie goes on what it is. But it definitely felt like you could have cut that down to be 2 hours or even an hour and a half, and it works so much better. It's such a slow burn, and not like in a way where it feels satisfying by the end. There are great slow burn movies. To me, that's not one of them. This is not that. Also, because it's a TV miniseries, its horror aspects, like its kills and violence and things like that, are all off screen, which is always a shame, right? Because I know people will tell you there are great PG-13 horror movies, but let's be real. There is no PG-13 horror movie out there other than like a couple like Insidious that would not have been slightly better if it was rated R. This is another example of that. But I think Tobe Hooper does a great job with this movie because of Tobe Hooper is famous for directing Poltergeist or maybe not directing Poltergeist, depending on what side of that you fall on. To me, that doesn't feel like a Spielberg movie. Very much feels like a Tobe Hooper movie to me. So I don't know where people get off on that one. And then, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like whatever. So he's very experienced in the horror genre, and I think he does a lot of creative kills and sequences and horror aspects to this movie that really, really work and, keep the tension up there. So, I do think there's aspects to this movie that work. I think the performances are pretty strong. And, I was engaged in this movie. I was never truly bored, except for like the first hour of it, because I just felt like we could have cut this down somewhere. And it didn't need to be this long. So, it's a flawed movie. I think this is a good gateway horror movie to some younger fans. Like if you have kids or teenagers like 12, 13, 14 years old. If you want to show them this one, I feel like there's some aspects that get into it. But at the same time, it is so long, I don't know how much. But it's worth a shot, I guess. I don't know. I didn't love this movie, but I also didn't hate this movie, right? I think it's a very mixed bag of a movie that had a lot of aspects I enjoyed, but I really could see this remake coming out in October, improving upon this movie in so many ways. And if it doesn't, I'm not really sure, because this is a really great one. In terms of aspects that are good, aspects that aren't great, but overall could be improved upon.